You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. The question, does my hair look good? Because I just took my hat off.
Yeah, a hair hat or hat hair.
Hat hair, bed head.
Bed head. You're not used to having hair like that.
Exactly.
That's why.
My neck started hurting because I got hair and shit.
Yeah. That's true.
We don't play around. We don't front. But we got a special guest in the house today. We've been trying to do this for probably a year.
Yeah,
a minute.
Yeah.
Like legit,
had
a
things
year.
happen.
But I mean, when you got the president and CEO, right, of San Diego City College, like you got to work around his schedule.
Man, just a young kid from the ghetto trying to make it, bro.
But now you helping other young kids from the ghetto make it.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and we're gonna get into a lot of that and your backstory. But we're just super honored to have you.
Man, the feeling's mutual.
Dr. Ricky Shabazz in the house with us, the president and CEO of San Diego City College, and City College is one of those things that it hits home for San Diego.
Yes.
You're an alumni of City College.
Yep.
Our director is alumni of City College, right? Yep. So I'm surrounded by smart people right now.
So good.
That's always a good thing. The inverse isn't.
Exactly. It's like I never want to be the smartest person in the room. No. You know what I mean?
Right.
I ran cross country for City College as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Athletes.
Yes, I did.
Check you out. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm getting tired just hearing cross country.
I ain't believe it when she said it. I was like, cross country. But what does that even mean?
Yeah, right.
Like you ran across, like you wasn't Forrest.
No, man. It felt like Forrest. They created these paths for us, and they had us go all the way in heels.
Balboa Park and everything, right?
Yeah. It was a great time. It's a great time to practice.
Y'all still have cross
Oh,
country?
yeah. Matter of fact, they just came back from state right before Thanksgiving.
They went to state? See
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
See that?
Oh,
See?
see?
Yeah. 3 or 4 years in a row.
Oh,
Wow. See, I would love to say I had something to do with it, but I did not.
There's
Me
like,
Long
either.
ago.
there's like, this girl, we need to get new coaches in here. Nah, you run like a gazelle.
Yeah,
So
thank
that's
you.
it. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
you be doing
Thank
your
you.
thing.
Thank you, baby.
So for those that don't know, Dr. Ricky Shabazz is new to San Diego in the sense of you got in position in 2017.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you took over as president of City College in 2017. You were up in San Bernardino before
Yeah.
that.
Just came back from there, man.
And literally just came
Yeah,
back
literally.
right now. Can't let it go.
That's right.
And that's about 2 hours from us in the Inland Empire, for those that don't know. Specializes in just, like when I read about Dr. Shabazz, it was like this long paragraph of everything that he did. But you know me, I like to simplify it. Specializes in making sure students succeed.
I love that.
Like from start to finish.
I just like the way that sounded.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Me too.
Not a passion for it. Specializes
in it. That's right.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that, and I'd love to hear more about how you got to where you are.
Yeah.
And everything, and not only that, your dad's a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom was a teenage mom.
Yes.
Right. So had you when she was a teenager.
Today is my mother's birthday.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Happy birthday,
Yes.
Mom.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
That's super dope.
Yes, it is.
And I can relate
That's
to
special.
you in that because my grandmother had my mother when she was a teenager. My mother had me when she was a teenager, right?
Same story.
Yeah. So
Same
it's
thing.
that generational thing. Danielle had her first daughter when she was a teenager. It's part of our culture.
It's real.
Unfortunately, right?
Truth.
And then you didn't let any of that be your excuses. Right. So I can't wait to get into that, but I'm gonna let Danielle do her thing. And I guess the question is today is what the hell is enrollment management? 'Cause I had no idea. I was like, enrollment management. See, because my story with enrollment in the college was I got accepted to Morgan State University.
Okay.
I go down there.
HBCU rep.
Yeah. I go down there, kid I'm 17 years old, from Queens, New York. I get to Baltimore. First of all, Baltimore's scary. I thought New York was scary.
Right.
Baltimore was just as scary. And I do my whole program. I'm dialed in. I'm partying. Been there 5 days. They said, all right, we need that first check. And I was like, yo, Dad, where's that check? And he was like, I got a bus ticket for you back to New York because we can't afford it. And I had nobody to guide me. Like, all I seen was people slinging loans and credit cards. They said, you could get this credit card, pay for your college.
Did
you
that.
Get this loan,
Yeah.
pay for your college. And it scared me. And I was just there by myself. I was like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I bounced. I left. And I never went to college. I went to the military instead. So here to talk about it and then to see how you professionalize, I'm like, I can't wait to talk about it. I can't wait to
Let's
hear
do it.
this, you know?
Right. Before we get in that, I know a lot of people want to know about you as a person. One thing that I know a lot of people want to know right off the top is if you're single and ready to mingle, or are you married?
Yeah, because that smile is impeccable. You look at every picture with Dr. Shabazz, this smile is, I'm like, man.
Let the ladies know. Are you well aboard? Someone that already got you locked down.
Absolutely happily married to my soulmate. My wife also works in education. Matter of fact, she worked at City College when we met.
Nice.
And had to make the very tough decision of leaving when I became the president. So we're raising our blended family. We're both on our second go around, and let me just say that I love being married, love family, and she would be a dope person to have on your show. She has an amazing story, probably even more so amazing than mine. Okay. Afro-Brazilian, learned a lot about black people all over the world through her. Matter of fact, we're leaving for Brazil on December 20th. We typically spend Christmas down in Brazil because it's our winter. Not that we have a winter in San Diego,
true.
But down there it's their summer. So I'm down there in flip-flops, shorts, and I love when I'm down there that no one realizes that I'm not Brazilian. Because you get down there and you're like, why didn't nobody tell me about this? Like, everybody looks like me.
Hey, do you speak Portuguese?
A little.
Okay.
But interesting enough, most of my wife's friends speak English, and then I have my wife there, so she's doing her thing.
Nice.
I know how to say "no falo eu Portuguese," which means I don't speak Portuguese.
Did you ever try, like, because Danielle and I, whenever we travel, we'll do like a hardcore 6 months of Duolingo, like hardcore, and then that's it. And then when we get to the country that we were studying for, we forget 50% of what we learned.
Some of it we were able to kind of, but we don't speak it.
Nah. So do you at least Duolingo some? She don't even make you, like, some days is like.
Well, see, no, the interesting thing, my mother-in-law, who is a black woman, black Brazilian, only speaks Portuguese. She doesn't speak English. I speak to my mother-in-law in Spanish because I speak more Spanish than I do Portuguese. Okay. And if you speak Portuguese, you can understand Spanish. But if you speak Spanish, you can't understand Portuguese. But most of the verbs are the same. Okay. The pronunciations are different. But most of the people I wind up speaking to in Spanish.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I love it. Can you tell me, how do you feel that your family has evolved over the years? And like, how have those changes impacted you?
So it's evolved, one, because we're in a blended family. So I have a 21-year-old stepson. You know, I don't even call him my stepson. I have a 21-year-old son, got a 14-year-old daughter who runs the household. I need her to slow down. She's a freshman in high school. So having a child in college, having a child in high school, works with your patience, also works with your development, because I'm starting to have adult conversations with my daughter, and it's dope. It's actually dope to see her maturing. It's not dope to see her interested in boys and some of the other stuff that goes along with it, but I see my daughter maturing. And let me also shout out my ex-wife, who I have a great relationship with.
That's amazing.
Who afforded me the opportunity to raise my daughter, right? That doesn't happen.
Facts.
And she took a lot of heat for it, but she realized she didn't want our daughter to have daddy issues. So 5 years after our divorce, she was reading my daughter's diary, and my daughter said, look, I want to live with my dad, but I don't want to hurt my mom's feelings. Man. And to the credit of my ex-wife, she sent my daughter to live with me, and she's been with me since she was 5. She's 14. My ex-wife has a wonderful relationship with my current wife. We're adulting. We're co-parenting. And I got to shout out both of the women in my life because it could have went the other. It could have went the other
Say
way.
that. Say
My
that.
ex-wife comes. She stays in our guest house. She drives one of the cars. It's not perfect, but it works, and we do it, and we can see to your question. We can see the development and the impact on my daughter. Because my daughter inherited a bonus mom. She inherited a bonus grandmother. She has a great relationship with her mother. And we all make sacrifices for the betterment of the children. And you don't see that every day. That story's not told. And so I got to shout out both my current wife and my ex-wife because it takes a lot of work. My ex-wife did not have to do that.
1,000%. Yeah, that's, I mean, impressive on many levels, and just the team aspect, and I mean, because same thing, like we're a blended family, right? And we don't have the same story that you have. Like we've had the smashing of the heads and the disagreement, and it all revolved around ego. You know, so to hear that ego is not the the thing that's controlling that relationship, that's just magnificent.
And shout out to you for being a stand-up dad, that you were able to and did take your daughter, especially at 5. I know that's hard, especially for a man to raise a little girl, right, on your own or even with help, but still. So shout out to you for doing that. That's amazing. What do you like to do for fun?
Love to travel. Just got back from Cartagena, Colombia. Like I'm tracking black folks through Central and Latin America. So went to Costa Rica over the summer. Just got back from Cartagena, Colombia. Super dope if you've never been there. Walled City, I would highly recommend it. Food, restaurants. Okay. I love traveling. So we go on at least 3 international trips a year. Just my wife and I, we leave that's when we send my daughter to her mother's house.
I understand.
Love to travel. Anyone who happens to look me up will probably find out more information about fishing than education. That is my passion outside of work. Love to travel. One of very few black professional bass fishermen in the country. It's something that I just love to do. I get out on that water. It's highly spiritual. I don't think of my problems. It's my therapy. Those are really, it's really family, traveling, and fishing, and work. That's what I do.
I love it. If someone was looking to create a new habit, what would you suggest? Like, how do they go about that?
So there's a lot of theory and practice behind this notion that it takes 30 days to develop something. And so depending on what the habit was, let's pray that it's a positive habit
or hobby or habit.
Yeah. So I think you got to find a mentor. Like my story is going to be geared around having great teachers and having even better mentors. So you got to find somebody who's an expert at it and ask them to teach you everything they know. Fortunately, I was always one of those people who didn't have too much pride. If I seen somebody that had something that I wanted, I would just say, hey, put me up on game. What am I doing wrong? How does this work? And there's a level of humility there. And I would say most people are willing to teach you if you're willing to listen.
That's 1,000%. 1,000%.
I love it. You got to be willing to listen.
Yeah, you can't ask and then be like, oh, I'm only going to take.
I'm going to do it my way.
Yes.
I think there's another way.
Yes.
That's real talk right there.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to ask about is your career and what exactly you do. Like, you're the president, right? So, I mean.
That's what they say.
Right? And then it's like, when I think about the president, like, what do you just walk around and just tell people what to do all day, and then you sit in your office and just like kind of, make sure?
You got the big office.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. I go to work every day and I wonder, how the hell did this happen? I have the best job at the best college in the world. I'm biased. I tell people that I went to college and I never left. Literally, I went to college and I never left. As the president, it really is about establishing vision for where you want to go and how you want to get there. But at the core of what I do is try to support other people's ideas, particularly if they're dope. Is try to either leverage resources, find resources, shift resources so that we can change people's life. I work at a community college. I started my career at a PWI, which stands for predominantly white institution, where I went to school, UC Davis, top 10 public university in the country. And I just remember there were days when I was a student that I never saw another black person. So I chose to come work at a community college because most black students, first generation, I can go down the list, right? Community college serves the community. And so most black students start their education at a community college. And so I was visiting a community college when I worked at UC Davis, and that's where I was seeing the black and brown students. And so I said, look, that's where I believe my skill set is better used. And so I started working at a community college, even though my mentors thought I was crazy. So I started at Compton College, where people thought I was crazy because it had lost its accreditation, and I'll come back to that. But ultimately, what does the president do? I set vision, I set the tone of trying to change the lives of people in the community. My goal before I leave my position is to put 50,000 people in above livable wage careers. Because my first year out of college, I made more money than my mom and my dad put together. Now, it wasn't about money, although I make a decent amount of money. It was about being able to change my life. I mean, teenage parent, pops in and out of the pen, was in the military. Like, my education has taken me places that I didn't even know I just came back from Colombia.
Right.
And that's a good point that you make, because people say, oh, well, you know, how did you make it? And, you know, some people will put, you know, they would just say education is not it, but education is it. It's education, it's experience, it's all of these different things, and everything works for people differently. It's just how the tools, like you gotta go out there and get the tools.
Let's not confuse schooling with education, right? Education occurs.
Right? Very true.
Like, I don't know where you're going to go without some education. Now, you might get some places without some schooling.
Very true.
I don't know where you're going to go without some education, whether it's YouTube or mentorship or whatever. I try to make a distinction between, and this is actually my research expertise, the difference between schooling and education. A lot of my education came, while it may have been at a college, it came from people outside of the classroom.
And City is 17,000 students?
About
17,000 students and a staff of 1,000.
Yes.
So you set the vision for 1,000 people.
Yes. The best part of my job are the people. The most challenging part of my job
Is the people.
are the people. But real talk, I work with some dope people, people who I hung out with before I became the president because my wife was there, people who I hang out with right now. Like you saw, John Parker. I hang out with the people I work. Very rarely do people talk about work and love being in the same sense. I love where I work.
That's very true. And shout out to John Parker because he pulled up. And the CFO of City College. So shout out to John.
Black man. South Central.
That's right.
Navy.
That's right.
First generation college students. That's how we roll at City College.
Love it. And we're talking about enrollment management today. So we talked about that process of getting in, or you know, when you start or you decide that you want to go. It's overwhelming, right? First off, you take that, you say, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to City College. Now they give you this big stack, this book, right? It's all these classes in it, and then you get assigned a counselor. How would you say the process is for like personal planning for a new student, and how does that go?
Yeah, you know, it really depends. The easiest way to transition into college is getting into one of our many learning communities. So we have one called Emoja for Black students, one for called Puente for our Latinx students. We have Hubu for Black and Latino males. We have these learning communities, 10, 11, 12 of them.
Wow.
It's easier to transition into one of those learning communities because the counselor is also teaching the classes, and the students take their classes the first year together. So you're going through with a cohort. It's harder, I would say, for the working adult, and that's something we're working on because the vast majority of our students are actually working adults. People who have children, people who have jobs. It's a little harder for them because historically colleges were not set up for people who are primarily taking one class or in the evening or online. it could be harder for that type of student to find a home, to find a place where they're comfortable. And we're spending a lot of time focusing in on that group. Like we're about to open a parent center. We're about to do something that's really dope that I know I get copied a lot. My team is we get copied a lot. We're about to open, Tommy, you're gonna like this, a barber shop on campus. Not a college, a barber shop. You know what it costs to get a haircut right now? $50, easy.
I get a lineup and it costs me $20.
So what we're trying to create these spaces for students to come into and get some services, connect with the staff, the employees, the professors, so that we can make it easy for them to transition into college. And a lot of that is built on this notion of enrollment management.
Now, is that something that's abnormal, a barbershop on campus?
We'll be the first.
You'll be the first.
Yeah, and it's going to be a dope barbershop, too. It's going to be music in there. It's going to be TVs, pool tables. It's going to be
for the culture.
Yeah, it's going to be a kicking spot.
That's dope.
I love it. I like that you're doing that because, I mean, it makes sense, especially when I was going. I was a young mother. I just had my girls. They were like 4 and 8, I want to say, and I was juggling 2 jobs and then also going to City College.
Right.
So I would work at McDonald's from like 5 to 12, and then I work at Robinson May at night. And then
Robinson May, that's
right?
from
that's
the
Throwback,
aging myself a little bit there, and then I'd go to City College on the days that I didn't go to work. So I had it all kind of planned out, right? I mean, I do talk about hustle. I was hustling,
grinding.
you know. Yes, I did my homework on my breaks, you know what I mean. But I got it all done, and then I also ran cross country, so you know I had to be there for practices and then also take care of and raise my children. So it was very important that I was able to mix my classes up and able to put things where they needed to be. And City College was amazing at.
Did you have a counselor or somebody that like guided you?
Yes,
and helped you on that?
yes. I had a counselor. I had someone who was able to help me with financial aid.
Yeah.
Now, financial aid is a beast,
Yes.
right? Just filling out that
FAFSA.
application, that FAFSA is just like
intimidating.
Yes. And I've done it tons of times now, and I can help people with it now, which is amazing, you know, because it is intimidating, but it's the same, and it's kind of simple once you've done it a couple of times. But with that, there's like EOSP, I don't know.
EOPNS?
Yep. All these programs that helped. And then even at the end of the program, I remember they had this extra money. And I mean, I was in those offices all the time. And I think that's important too, to stay in the counselor's face, especially financial aid, right? I applied for every single grant that could be done, scholarship or anything I was writing. I love to write. So I was writing essays for anything that I could get, any kind of money that was out there for scholarship. I was getting it.
Nice.
So I took full advantage of everything that was there. Is there anything else that I didn't bring up that there's opportunities for?
You pretty much hit everything, and I'm glad to hear you took advantage of that. You know, we give out pushing close to about $300,000 a year in scholarships. That's a huge part of what I do as the president is work with potential donors. And I'll give an example. Jim Senegal of Costco is our biggest donor. A billionaire would it be? We've had 3 billionaires come through the doors of San Diego City College, and many of them give back for the very reason that you just outlined, because they had a positive experience with the college. The college helped transform their life. And so I'm out there connecting with alumni to say, hey, there are other students behind you who need that scholarship check. And so that's a very big part of what I do. You pretty much hit on all of it. What's coming next, though, is you mentioned John Parker. Shout out to John Parker. He led an effort along with myself to receive $70 million worth of funding from the state to build a housing development. We broke ground a couple of weeks ago. It's going to take us about 3 years to actually build it, but a lot of our students are facing homelessness. And so we're going to build approximately a 800 unit housing development that is going to allow us, our goal is, and hold us to this, is to be able to offer units for under $1,000. Now, this is in downtown San Diego, right? Impressive. And so that'll be the next phase of this. Now, it's 800. I hope to, in my career, be able to also offer housing to employees. We just announced a couple of days ago that the starting wage for our employees is going to be $30 an hour.
That's nice.
Now, that's for permanent employees. For part-time, it's going to be $22 an hour. So our focus at City College is social justice, and you can't focus on social justice by just helping students. You got to help the employees who work at the college as well.
Right.
That's very true.
I love that.
Now, I mean, I hear a lot about, you helping and, people giving back, but what are some of the obstacles? Like, what is the things that's grinding your gears as president as well? It's like things that you're like, fuck, if I had a magic wand.
Yeah. So the most important thing I do as the president is hire people. And I've been doing this for close to 25 years. I'm seeing the highest level of failed searches. One, because it's expensive to live here. So people are getting job offers from places like Georgia and the Midwest, and they're getting excited. And it looks like a lot of money till you see what a 1-bedroom apartment or a 3-bedroom house. So right now we're having the same challenges that everyone in San Diego is having, is finding highly qualified candidates who can afford to live here. So I'm having a lot of failed searches for certain positions, which makes it hard for us to do the work if we're not fully staffed. In the last 2 or 3 years, I've hired over 100 people. Out of that 1,000 employees, about 300 are full-time. The other 700 are largely instructors that might be teaching 1 class or 3 classes. So we've hired nearly half of the full-time employees in the last 2 years. Wow. But even with that amount of hiring, we still are seeing a lot of key positions go unfilled. And these are good paying jobs, but when you pay good, but we're in the highest cost of living place probably in the world, definitely if not in the country, it can be hard to recruit people for key positions. So if I could have a magical wand, like I'll just use our nursing programs, number 1 in the area, number 2 in the state, number 3 in the nation. It's hard for me to hire a nurse. A nurse on average can make about $150,000 to $200,000 a year. A nursing instructor, the starting pay is around $100,000, between $80,000 and $100,000. Now they'll make up to $150,000, but if you're a nurse making $200,000, you're going to take a job making $100,000. So right now we're writing grants to try to offset that gap between what a nurse can make in the private world with what they would make teaching. And we have some other positions like that. That is probably my biggest challenge. Second challenge is, frankly, people done lost their damn mind post-COVID. So the level of conflicts with people who just don't know how to talk to one another because they've been held up in wherever they've been held up. So we're seeing student discipline cases increase. We're seeing people who would normally be friends with each other getting out of pocket. I mean, there's a war going on, so people taking sides. And a college or university setting is normally a place where you could agree to disagree and we could have some spirited debates, and then you would give one another a hug or a pound. But we're seeing conflict at the highest level that I've seen in my career. And interesting enough, people think it's just at our college. I'm like, no, it's happening everywhere.
That's funny that you say that, and people don't think about how the wars that are happening overseas impact students. Because you got family members over there. You got people that, we're a melting pot, right?
Yes.
And you're dealing with this. Like
and we're a border city, so we got people from all over the world that are here.
That's 1,000%.
So true. So true.
I wouldn't have thought about that. You said what'd you call it? The student conflicts, or
it's just conflict in general. And it's not just students. It's we're seeing conflicts at a high level. Because people not going to lunch no more. People not going to dinner.
Just go out.
Just go have a coffee. Just go or take a walk.
Have some wine.
Yeah. Or take a walk. Like, you remember, take a walk. Like on lunchtime, let's take a walk together. You know what I mean?
We don't know each other. Like most of the people we hired on Zoom. Some of the people just coming to campus for the first time. And so the work I do is all about relationships. Right, but when you don't have relationships, it's easier to say, "Oh, Tommy, I don't know that fool. He think he all of that." Versus if we go out to dinner or to lunch, then I get to know you, your story. Then I'm more likely to say, "Oh, that's just Tommy."
I know him, right? I know how he rolls. That is true. Question, how do you feel technology helps or has it hindered enrollment management?
So AI is real. We are trying to figure out how to use it. Like any technology, it's a gift and a curse, right? There are things. Now, my marketing department, they're killing it with technology,
love it, right? Yes.
They are killing it. This is the best marketing team I've ever had. We put a lot of resources into marketing, but communication will make or break a president, right? And so I live in a world where one group of employees say we want videos. The other group of employees say we want it written. So you wind up doing both and hoping somebody actually. So we're seeing AI creep into spaces now. Again, with technology, we have faculty members who are experts at it and have learned how to use it in a positive way. We have some that are afraid of it and think it's the Antichrist. We're all going to perish. All the jobs are going to go away. So the easiest way to say this is we don't got this figured out. We're figuring it out every day. And anybody who says they got it figured out, they lying.
Yeah, that's
right. We just talked about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just said a quote that I heard on the last show that we just did, but someone was saying that they have this fear of AI taking over. And they said you shouldn't fear AI taking over. You should fear someone who knows how to utilize it to the fullest capacity, taking it, and that's what you fear.
How are you personally using AI in your position?
I don't use it because really I just don't have time to use it. A lot of what I do is running around giving speeches or writing or developing my own communications. I have this amazing office that I'm very rarely in. So I don't use it in my everyday. I've had to research, right? So a lot of what I do is research. I have to research it and identify who on our campus is an expert at it, identify who on our campus is anti-AI. And then my area of research is case study. So are there some cases where it's working? Are there some cases where things have backfired? And so that's really my level of interaction. So I'm more like get the people together who are good at it, let them do some toolkits or best practices or FAQs so that we can decide how to best use it. If you think of a college campus or just life, but particularly a college campus, think of a bell curve where on one end you got traditionalists. This is how we always did it. Then on the other end you have innovators. But most of the people are somewhere in the middle. They believe in tradition, but they realize that innovation is a certain amount of innovation is necessary. So that kind of is how I'm approaching AI too. Like, let me learn about it. Let me learn the good things about it. Let me learn the bad things about it. So that I have a level of comfort about it. Now, the thing that I've seen with AI is you got to check it.
1,000%.
Right,
yeah.
you gotta check it because it'll put out some gibberish and you be like, and you be like, this shit don't make no sense.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, have you ever taken one of your speeches that you've written and then throw it in AI and say, like, how does this sound?
I was working with a mentee who was developing something, and we played with the AI, and what it put out was garbage, to be honest. But it was well written garbage, right? So this notion of fake news is real with AI. Like it'll put out some well written gibberish, and you be like, that's not factual.
That's real talk. Yeah, in your position too. I mean, you've seen students fall through the crack. Like I said, you specialize in the success of them. What would you say is probably one of the boldest moves that you've had to make since being president and CEO to make sure that there was support for the students?
Wow, there are a lot of things. I would say the first thing is making sure those people who are working with our most disproportionately impacted students, largely Black and brown students, had the resources. Like, they didn't have to come ask for the resources. I was like, bam. That was something they wasn't used to. In my line of work, there's a saying that you follow the college's resources and you see what's important to the college. So I went to what we call our equity programs, our learning communities, and I cashed them out off the top. Like, look, y'all gonna get bread before anybody else does, because y'all working with the most challenging and most deserving of our students. the other thing that was probably the most interesting is having Jim Sinegal's credit card and buying, it must have been a couple $100,000 worth of computers with somebody's credit card that somebody would, a billionaire would trust us with their credit card to be able to buy computers. But again, largely is the people who I hired 3 black male counselors at the same time, but then the word on the street was I was only hiring black people. Then recently, a couple of black people didn't get the job, and the word on the street was I wasn't hiring no black people. But if you look at my hiring over my career, but specifically at City College, we're one of the few colleges in this country outside of a black college where our employees almost exactly mirror the students.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
So what are the benefits of that? Like, I go to work like this, and for those who can't see, I'm rocking J's. I got jeans. I stopped wearing suits a long time ago because I don't code switch. Like, the way I'm talking to you, like, this is just how I get down.
Right.
And so I think it's important to showcase to the students that you could be your authentic self and have a doctorate or be the president, because they need to know what is possible. But also, getting back to the hiring piece, representation matters. City College, I hired the first Latino vice president of instruction in the history of the school. Now, City College is 110 years old. Hired the first Latino vice president of students in the history of the school, Puerto Rican brother. Our administration looks like the United Nations. Our head of marketing is Filipino. I mean, I could go down the list of people who we've hired, and they mirror the experiences of the students, so that when students come, frankly, they're not going to get that at UC San Diego. They're not going to get that at San Diego State. They will absolutely get that at City College.
That's beautiful.
I love that. Now, so we talk about like the recruitment process and then what happens once you're there. But what about post-enrollment? You know, like what happens when someone is done and they're gone? Is there any follow-up? Like, how do you, like, what happens then?
Yeah, so we are, and would welcome you to join. We are rebuilding our alumni. One of the other things that I mentioned, fundraising, let me put it in context. Over my 6.5 years as president, I've had to rebuild our foundation. Now, if you look at 4-year colleges, UC San Diego State, they have multi-millions of dollars in their endowment. Community colleges historically do a horrible job at connecting with alumni. And so we've been rebuilding that over the last 5 years. I'm happy to report about 6 months ago, we hired the college's first director of the foundation, invested about $200,000 or $300,000 into building an alumni database. And we're going to roll out over the next couple of months our first communications with alumni to get them back on campus. Is going to kick off with a building dedication on January the 25th, I believe, the Thursday the 25th, where we're going to dedicate the Arts and Humanities building to Dr. Constance Carroll, a black woman who hired me, who had a multi-billion-dollar bond program that rebuilt most of City College.
Wow.
That'll kick off our communication with alumni. So a couple of ways to get back to your question. One, connecting alumni back with the college is something we're working on right now. Number two is we do have a career and transfer center where any alumni or someone graduating from the college can utilize the career services side of it, where we have internships and a job board for employers who want to specifically hire City College students, or former City College students in this case of alumni.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. Question: What advice would you have for your younger self if at the beginning of your career?
Ooh,
that's funny.
love this.
That was going to be.
I love this.
My question was, I wish I knew that.
The younger me would have started traveling internationally sooner. I think I didn't go out of the country till I was 27 or 28. It was a cruise to Mexico. But as I started to travel,
was it Ensenada?
I'm surprised it is.
I think they call it the
booze cruise.
No, it's the Mexican Riviera
cruise. Okay.
I haven't been on a cruise since.
Really?
The younger me would would have traveled internationally. Matter of fact, the one regret that I have in undergrad is that I didn't study abroad. My Spanish would be much better than it is if I had done that. So the younger me would have started traveling internationally sooner, would have got a passport sooner. The younger professional version of me would have paid more attention to my investments. I had a mentor when I first got hired that told me to put money away. I did. I've worked for 5 colleges, so I kind of just thought, well, I've been putting money away. It's just going. And the first college I worked at, which was UC Davis, where I graduated undergrad, I was putting away 150. You know, people you see all these things on Instagram. If you start putting away at 22, $150, you'll be a millionaire. Well, that's right. But what they don't tell you is you got to manage the money. So what happened is I was putting away $150, $200 a year. I worked for UC Davis for 6 or 7 years. And when I separated, I didn't pay attention to the money. And what happened is actually when I got to San Diego in the summer of 2017, I'm like, yeah, man, let me put all this money together. Because the money from UC Davis, which should have been a lot more than it is, and it's enough, I start getting charged a fee when I left that I wasn't getting charged when I was contributing. So the fee that I was getting charged was almost eating up the interest that I was earning. And so if you look at the money, it was going like this. When I moved it last summer, it's tripled. And so the younger version would have, I would have told myself, look, it's great that you're contributing, but you need to read a couple books on investing at 22, 23, 24, so you better understand compound interest, so that you better understand the implication. I actually had a job. I worked at a charter high school for a year. I loved working with high school students. It's just not every day. So when I separated, I had about 25 grand in my retirement account. I didn't try to go get that money till 10 years later, and it was gone.
Oh.
Goddamn.
Because the charter school has stole the money.
Oh.
And why the feds got involved. So I would tell the younger version of myself, like, it's great that you're contributing and it's great that you got these accounts, but you need to actively manage these accounts. And if you don't know how to do it, take a class, read a book, because I should have a lot more than I do. I mean, I'm not doing bad, but there was a couple of hiccups in there that I wish I would have known when I was in my early 20s that I just didn't. I'm first college student in my family. I just didn't. First probably person in my family to have some retirement accounts and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you just out there rolling the dice, just in Danielle's words, being willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly.
Definitely willy-nilly.
Question, too. Another question.
Yeah.
So there's Mesa College, there's Southwest, right? There's all these different city colleges.
Yes.
Now, if someone wants to transfer, how does that work? And then what is the relationship with all these colleges? Like, do you guys have like college fair and all get together? Or like, are you guys like, don't go to city?
Homies.
Like, don't go to, you know? Like
Yeah. So this San Diego region comprises about 9 to 10 colleges that represent or is known as SEDICA, the San Diego and Imperial County Community College Association. Matter of fact, we had our meeting today. So we meet once a month, the first Monday of every month we meet, and we work very collaboratively together, more so than anywhere else in the state. So we all know each other. Our students do go between the colleges. As the president of San Diego City College, I am part of a 4-college system in San Diego proper, comprised of Mesa College, Miramar College, City College, and the College of Continuing Education where my wife works, which is the non-credit arm of our system. Normally adult ed, career planning is what the College of Continuing Education is. Our students absolutely take classes at each of the campuses, and it's easy to do so. The vast majority of students who come to City College do so planning to transfer to one of the area 4-year universities. Another percentage of them come wanting to get a certificate and go right into the workforce, and we facilitate both of those.
So I want to give you a heads up because we do a final thought, and you know, we like to drop a little value on and things like that. So I want you to think about your final thought as we wrap up. But I want you to go back to, because you mentioned that Compton lost its accreditation.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So some people were stealing some money and doing things they shouldn't have done, and so they lost this accreditation. But I'm happy to report that I was part of the team that helped them get it back.
Nice.
When I arrived at Compton, there were about 3,000 students. When I left, they had the biggest population in the history of the school, and Compton's approaching 100 years old. So when I left, the largest graduation, we had about 15,000 students. They haven't had 15,000 students since. Wow. But it was being in the right place at the right time. So they lost their accreditation. It's a process where a visiting team comes. And they was just doing, I shouldn't say they, because the vast majority of the people at the Compton were amazing people. They were doing their job. But there was some leadership and some board members during that time that were just doing some things that they shouldn't have been doing. They was doing too much.
And you said stealing money. So what's the balance for you as far as making sure that, like every other business, you know, especially as CEO, I need to make sure that we're profitable.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure that, you know, what our goal is making sure that we have successful students.
Yeah.
How do you balance that?
You just described what enrollment management is. That is exactly what enrollment management is, because a lot of people do not think about a college as a business. Now, if you look at the definition of a business, by sheer definition, what makes something a business is that it has employees. Well, you already established that I got 1,000 employees, so that makes us a business. Now, I can never say that way in front of my faculty, because they would say this is not a business.
It's an institution.
But the reality is, if people don't get paid, then you know, we're in trouble. So we have to manage the college's resources, and the way that the college receives resources, revenue, is based on the number of students who attend the college. There are different measures in our funding formula, and one of them is the number of students who graduate, the number of transfer students, the number of students on financial aid. So there are all these measures that allow us to get funded and funding and revenue, and it amounts to exactly what enrollment management is. Those who are coming, those who are leaving, there has to be a balance between the two.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. Time for quotes?
I don't have a quote.
I do.
But my final thought is, before you drop your quote, because I know you got a dope ass final thought, but dealing with enrollment is I always had this stigma about community college. Like I have 4 kids, right? And my kids never had a plan when it came to, and I was the one, I was saying same thing. I was the first time or the first generation to go to college in my family. And my kids didn't grow up the way I grew up. Like I had it tough. I was like, you guys, you know, I gave you a good life. I came from nothing. I went to college. Couldn't afford it, joined the military, all these things, and then paid for my own college.
Right.
And then I always had the stigma about community college. It was like, if you're going to community college, you wasn't trying hard enough.
Right.
All you do was continuing your high school.
Yeah.
And after walking City College, and I was with John.
Yeah.
And we walked.
It's a dope spot, huh?
It really is. and the impact that you're doing, and especially because the only community college I've ever actually, I went to Southwestern for one class when I was in the military, and that was online. So
right.
And I was in the military. I was like, oh, they're treating me nice. But the impact that City College, San Diego City College, has on the community, and the big audacious goals that you have. I mean, from, like you just said, 800 unit apartment complex for not only students but eventually staff, barbershops, the everything that you guys have built over the last few years, and then everything that's happened under your leadership is so much impactful that I think the San Diego in itself don't really get.
Yeah.
And I got to give you your flowers now because
Appreciate
of
it.
what you've done in the last 6 years and the impact that you had on the culture. And you know, you made fun of us being on the internet and all that stuff, but you're out there. like when I see you, you're in the street, just like how you said right now. You're in the streets with your students, and you know your students. You know where they came from, and I'm glad to have a brother like you that could represent and make people comfortable. And to hear my wife come from that and everybody come from that and see what it has done for them. Like and I'm not from San Diego, or I'm not from the West Coast, but to see how much impact it has on a community is just beautiful to me. You know, it's just, and I wish I would go take a class right now.
Yeah, you should.
I'm going to take Spanish. I keep saying as soon as I get some time,
nice.
I'm definitely going to take a Spanish class.
Yeah. So my hat's off to you. Like I want to give you your flowers. Just amazing human being all the way around, and a great leader. Like, you're a fucking great leader.
Yeah, appreciate it. If I could say a couple of things. One, because I wanted just on the record, one, City College was dope before I got there. I hope I made it doper. And it really is because of the people. The people who work at City is intense because of the population that we serve, right? Most of the folks who go to City College are from Southeast San Diego, Southeast Stand Up. And, you know, they can't live in the buildings that surround, I mean, most of the employees I can't live in some of the buildings that surround the campuses. So it takes a special kind of person who has been assembled at this college, which allows and creates an environment where Ricky Shabazz, because Ricky Shabazz can't go work anywhere, got to be an urban area, serving urban students, providing an urban education. So the stars lined up. But it is important for me to say that City College was dope before I got there.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I love it. And me coming from a space and a place that I needed City College.
Me too.
I'm very grateful for very, very grateful for all of the processes and what it taught me and what I got from it. My final thought is just that you kind of said it all there, babe. You kind of wrapped it all in. So thank you for that. And I just kind of ditto that.
Dope. Before you drop your final thought, if people wanted to follow you, where can they follow you? All of your handles, and then what's new for City College? Drop sign-ups, enrollment, all that stuff.
Yeah. So you can find me on all the social media. I'm on TikTok, but that's like my daughter's age, right? So I'm aging myself. Mainly on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Dr. Ricky Shabazz. There's not a lot of Ricky Shabazzes running around, so it's probably me. Although there is a rap group in Canada named Ricky Shabazz.
That's pretty
but
cool.
That's not me. I don't rap. I don't drop bars. That's not. I can't do it. My daughter would say I can't. Social media, very, very active. Would love to be able to help you. I'm pro education. Certainly, I'm biased that no other college is going to match City College. Right. That's just how we roll. Like, our swag is on 1,000.
I love it.
But it takes a certain type of student to do well at City College. The beauty of a community college is that there are others out there. So whether it's Mesa, Miramar, Southwestern, Grossmont, I just want you to use education and what ultimately is a free education. And you hit on something, Tommy, that there was a stigma with community college until universities start costing 50, 60, 70,000. Now community colleges are very relevant in terms of an affordable, a quality education that will allow someone unique place that serves a student population. And our theme is you belong here. And this notion of belonging is not just rhetoric. Like, you can come, we've got a pride center. We've created spaces for students to be themselves. And I like to describe it two ways. One, I don't want a student who goes to City to have the experience that I had at UC Davis, where I would go days without seeing another person who looked like me. My goal at City College is a student should not walk more than 10 feet without seeing some kind of representation of who they are. That means everything. Veteran, first generation, Somalian, Latinx, LGBTQIA, whatever your thing is, whatever community you are a member of, you in 10 feet, you're going to see somebody who is also a member of that community. The second thing is, when you get there, people are going to understand your story. One of the dopest things is I had an Eritrean student who had just got to the country, didn't speak a lot of English. And so I was like, hey, where are you from? I walked him right to one of our amazing counselors who spoke his language. I was working with a Haitian, there's a lot of Haitians in San Diego right now, was working with a Haitian brother. He didn't speak the language, walked him right up to someone who spoke Haitian Creole. So, those are really the two takeaways. One, you belong at City College. And two, there's an intensity and a swag at City College that when you get there, there are going to be people who understand your story and can help.
That's it. Yeah, I
love
couldn't
it.
believe that more. Like I see it in the president.
Yes.
So super
it.
dope. Thank you for joining us on Lyfe and Shit.
Oh man, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. You all did
Lyfe-
me. Appreciate it. You all
Lyfe
did an
and
amazing
Shit.
job, by the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Love you. Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.